It's a freedom of speech.
But I'm just trying to get it out to the community.
Can I do my freedom of speech?
You can stop
Good.
being rude, please.
Thank you.
No. Rude is when
No,
they
no,
protect
rude.
your white ass and they don't come up in here and protect the fucking citizens in our block.
Right.
2 weeks ago we had a shooting on the
Whenever he
fucking
finishes,
corner.
we'll go. Whenever he finishes.
Just 2 days ago we had a fucking police shooting down there. When the fuck we get somebody down here to help us?
Can we interview you right after this?
Yes, please.
Okay, you just let us get
Because
through
every
that.
time we call your ass is a fucking 21. Fuck you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Unfortunately, we are here to investigate a homicide that occurred here in the 7th District, 7700 block of Henley Drive. At approximately 3:25 p.m., 7th District officers responded to a call for service of a aggravated battery by shooting that ultimately ended up being a homicide. This is an incident, domestic in nature. We have a victim inside of a residence here. Currently, we are looking for an individual by the name of Edmund Ramey, R-A-M-E-E, 21 years of age. He's a senior, and he should have Edmund Ramey Jr., who's a 1-year-old infant, with him in his custody. Unknown what type of vehicle he is in, but he has just been identified as the person responsible for this homicide that we are currently investigating. I cannot give you any information on the victim at this time. We have issued a statewide media level 2 media advisory looking for Edmund Ramey Sr. as well as Edmund Ramey Jr. This is a step just below an Amber Alert, more or less. So this is still an active investigation. We're again asking community to get us whatever information that you can to locate Edmund Ramey Sr. and Edmund Ramey Jr. Call Crime Stoppers, of course, at 822-1111 if you can, or you need to report it anonymously, or contact us at Homicide at 504-658-5300. So now I'll answer any questions, but this is the very preliminary stages of this investigation, so I won't be able to answer much, but I'll try to answer as much as I possibly can.
Chief, rarely do people get to see the instant reaction of a situation like this. As people are sort of pouring their hearts out, what do we still have to say to the community about just the surge in crime that we're seeing in New Orleans and what people collectively are trying to do to stop the surge?
So, what I would say about this particular incident, of our 20 or 21 homicides we've had thus far this month, at least 5 or 6 of them has been the result of either a domestic or an acquaintance case that resulted into a fatal ending, had a fatal ending to it. So it is unfortunate. We really have to be mindful of who we are mentally or where we are mentally, because there's no reason that anything should result in the death or the loss of life of someone.
Chief, should we assume the suspect is armed and dangerous? What can you tell us about the risk factor?
Absolutely. We all I can tell you, we do believe he is armed and dangerous. Again, we're dealing with a shooting that resulted into a fatality, a homicide. So absolutely, please be cautious when around him, but call us first, 911.
So, Chief, do you believe the 1-year-old is in danger then?
Absolutely. And if you have, the 1-year-old is in the custody of what we now have been able to identify as a murderer. So yes, I absolutely believe that that 1-year-old is in danger. So we're trying to do our best to locate that child as well as this individual.
Can you shed any more light or any more details onto what happened inside of the house?
Right now, again, it's the beginning stages of this investigation. All I can tell you is that it was an incident that resulted in a death as a result of a gunshot wound. That's all I can say at this point in time.
Chief, the folks here in New Orleans East, in the grips of this violent crime wave, are frustrated. We have this guy across the street as crazy as he's talking. By the same token, there's real frustration. But in the case of something like this, what is it that police can actually do to prevent a domestic?
Well, it's not just about what police can do domestically. We have to look into ourselves and how we are dealing with one another. Be able to take the high road, be able to walk away and say, hey, you know what, I'll come back and deal with this and take a different approach, more or less. It's disheartening. We all are frustrated with the level of violence, not just here in New Orleans, but nationwide. But you can rest assured the men and women of the New Orleans Police Department are doing their very best to hold these individuals accountable. But even before holding them accountable, trying to deter or discourage the behaviors of this reckless behavior before it even occurs.
That name again on the
Edmund Ramey. Edmund, E-D-M-O-N-D, Ramey, R-A-M-E-E, Senior. And the 1-year-old is the junior, Edmund Ramey Jr.
How close are we to presenting a plan to City Council about
Pretty
everything?
soon. Well, let me say this. There's no new plan. We've had a plan that has been working very effectively. You're going back to 2019, we had, the lowest number of murders in almost 50 years. So all we have to do now is retweak it, look at what we're doing, what we could be doing differently. As technology evolves, policing must evolve. So we're dealing with a different element now. We're dealing with a different criminal justice system right now. So we have to do some things differently, and I can assure you, you'll be seeing something within the next few weeks.
Why
Thank
is
you.
this not an Amber
We
Alert?
appreciate it. Well, you want
Why
to
is it-
last one?
Because he's with his father, so it's a step below, and that's more of a statewide thing with the state police. He is in the custody of his father.
Do you have any idea
Sure.
where, do they have connections in the area of where they might go that you're aware of?
Have no idea right now. That's what we're trying to figure out right now. Where could he have possibly have gone?
All right,
So
thanks,
this is all
guys.
I have.
I'll give you
Thank
the rest of the information. I'll send a press release.
Do you have pictures?
We don't have any pictures.
picture of
Yeah,
him?
whatever
Okay.
information that I gave at the beginning, no, we don't have it just yet. Let's wait.